Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk from home, still not on IO Radio, back for another week of football action. We've had so much football action this weekend. It's unreal. I'm joined this week by Dan, as always, and Piers. He's just here now. I think we just signed him a permanent now. We'll get the contract out right now.
Yeah.
I'll get the Mike Ashley contract out. Just, slide that under the table. You'll sign that one, yeah?
Definitely. As long as I get a free Sports Direct mug.
He knows. Well, if you want to follow us on any of our social media, it's pretty simple. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram's talk_pitch. If you want to listen to any of our previous shows on YouTube, they're all there. It's Pitchside Talk and Mixcloud, which is Pitchside Talk as well. If you want to listen to our shows as an audio base, well, we've got quite a big show today. We're talking about Champions League because so much is going on in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals as well. Europa League, we found out who's going to be playing in the final, and also Ipswich Town returned. They returned last night in what I would like to call the A12 derby, the friendlies, but
don't you start.
Dan would like to disagree, but it's the A12 derby, and that's what's being called now from now on. Well,
hey, fine.
See, he agrees now. He knows. You're going to be playing Norwich anytime soon. You're not going to get them in the cup. So that's the best you're going to get this season is the derby from the A12.
Fine.
Well, we'll start off in the Champions League. We might not have any Euros this season, but we do have the Champions League instead. And that provided another week of absolute action. There's some big shocks. The underdogs knocking out some big teams. We saw some big scorelines in the Champions League. Which is has some massive ramifications in the big club at the moment. But let's get stuck into it. So the quarterfinal results were Atalanta lost 2-1 to PSG. PSG scored two 90-minute goals from Marquinhos. And Choupo-Moting, the man that was at Stoke, got relegated with Stoke. I don't know how he got to PSG, but he scored. He put PSG into their first semi-final for the first time in 25 years. RB Leipzig won 2-1 against Atletico Madrid. That's RB Leipzig's first ever semi-final ever. They were formed 11 years ago, and they're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. It's absolutely bonkers how that happened. Barcelona played Bayern Munich, and that ended 8-2 to Bayern Munich. Yes, I just said that right. That's 8-2 to Bayern Munich. That's Bayern Munich were the first ever side to score 5+ goals against Barcelona in a European competition. Absolute bonkers. And the game we're going to start talking about first is Manchester City lost 3-1 to Lyon. Lyon made their semi-finals since 2009-10. And they played Bayern Munich in the semi-finals as well, actually, which is quite ironic because they're going to be playing Bayern Munich tonight in the semi-finals. But Manchester City, their ambitions of bringing the Champions League has gone. They've lost in another quarter-final for the third time in a row under Pep Guardiola. City head into this game as the favourites. It came out second best. Some controversial and uncharacteristic stakes sort of decided the game, really. But how did it go so wrong for them? Because this was described as their golden opportunity. There's no sort of big size left in there. They're playing against Lyon. No disrespect to Lyon, but Lyon are in a great side in the Champions League, looking at who they played previously. But how did it just go so wrong for Pep again?
Yeah, it's madness. I can't believe how wrong it's gone. Obviously, this season has been poor by their standards. Finishing second in the league is poor by their standards, which is mad. But yeah, to go out in the quarterfinals, I can't believe it. I think I'm guilty of this, and people are guilty of writing underdogs off, and I think that's what happened. I think people writ Lyon off, and I did as well on the show. I was like, Man City are definitely favourites and going through. But they've looked really good throughout this game. I know I didn't really watch the game, but from what I've seen, Man City kind of dominated possession, had more chances than them. But Lyon were more clinical, and it's a great underdog story. And yeah, I'm thinking about not writing teams off so easily after what's happened in this Champions League quarterfinal, definitely.
Yeah, it was a shame. I think everything's got to be put into question for Man City now. Obviously some people won't want to ask the question, but you've got to ask sort of what job Pep Guardiola's done. They went out to Monaco in his first season, then Tottenham, and now and now Lyon. So you got to put some questions into that. You know, he never got Bayern Munich to a semi-final of the Champions League as well. So losing 9 games this season as well in the Premier League, I'm sure some questions we put over his head now. You know, they've spent a lot of money, although they have won a lot of trophies. Let's not get it wrong. In his second season, you know, they won the quadruple, so you can't blame that. But that night, it just didn't go right for them. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. It's not like Man City played bad necessarily. They just weren't good enough. I mean, that Sterling miss, I think everybody in the whole world had the same reaction, just screams of what. But, you know, you can't blame Sterling. He's an amazing player. He's probably my favourite English player out there. So, you know, everybody has a bad day. And unfortunately for Man City, most of that team did.
Well, speaking about that Sterling miss there, I think Piers said that if Harry Kane squared it to him in the World Cup, would have that happened in the World Cup as well, him skying it over? But we will never know. But as you said there, you know, the critics are now sort of pushing on Pep to take some responsibility because this is their 3rd time they've been knocked out in the Champions League in the quarterfinals for Man City. The first time, I think they made the 2nd round with Monaco. They lost that in fantastic style. I think they dominated the first game. Second game, Monaco came to the Etihad and just absolutely had them. But is there something's not right when it comes to the Champions League? I think De Bruyne said as well, it's a different year and it's the same situation again. They're out. And if they're not going to be able to push for the Champions League, players in the future are not going to want to come to Man City, are they? If they're not going to be able to actually have a Champions League run.
No, exactly. And that's what world-class players want, don't they? I think the Champions League is the trophy that world-class players want when they go to a club. And yeah, it's just sort of a bit strange. I think Pep, obviously, people think he needs to take responsibility, and maybe he should. And as De Bruyne said, same thing happened pretty much every year, and it's really odd because I think obviously Man City have the quality to win the Champions League. You know, their team's fantastic, but I just don't understand what goes wrong. I think, I don't know, maybe they need to improve their squad a little bit, but maybe when they go into these big under pressure games in big tournaments, they crumble a little bit. But yeah, it's really, I'm confused with how this always happens to them because, you know, they're usually favourites going into this part of the competition, and they always go out. So yeah, they do have the quality, which I find is a bit confusing.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them. I mean, I think they'll always still attract big players just due to the money, and you know, they always challenge for the league every year, and players want to play in England. But obviously, not having that European success is always going to gloom over him. I mean, I think it's 4. He's had 4 times the Champions League now, hasn't he? It was Monaco, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Lyon. So 3 out of those 4, you would probably more than likely expect Manchester City to win. So to fail that is obviously, you know, key players looking to join these clubs in England are going to think that. But then, yet again, where else are they going to go? You know, Liverpool, Chelsea. Obviously, players still come to Manchester United because the money's good. But apart from that, I would imagine players are still going to go to Man City. But I think for the players there, that's the big problem, keeping the players now.
Do some of the players have to take a little bit of responsibility as well for what's happening? Because they didn't perform on the night. I know Edison has a few mistakes himself. Sterling should have finished that. I think everybody would have gone, oh, my grandma would have finished that. And all these sort of jokes. But do they need to take some responsibility? Because it seems like they come into these games and they think they've won already. We're sort of seeing a few of the Man City players have, you know, they tweet about before that and they seem like they won it, and there's seen some backlash. Especially one player's hit back on some fans about taking the mickey of them losing in the Champions League. But do they need to sort of just knuckle down and go, we haven't won this just yet. We need to keep pushing. Is that just a problem? Is that just a mentality problem, really, in Man City?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's what I felt before the game. I think they went into this game obviously favourites, and they kind of thought they're already going to win the game, which you shouldn't do. And you can't write teams like Lyon off. So I think the players do have to take a bit of responsibility. As Piers said before, they didn't exactly play bad, but, you know, some of the chances they missed, some of the mistakes they made, it was quite sloppy. And I think, you know, they do need to take some criticism for that. And yeah, I think maybe there is a little bit of a mentality problem at Man City. And I think the confidence won't be as high as it should be, considering the season that they've had. You know, not winning the Premier League, going out in the Champions League quarter-final, it's obviously going to hit their confidence. So I think they need to just, as you said, knuckle down and think about how they're going to improve next season and go for it again and see what they can do next year.
Yeah, it's definitely a mentality problem. I mean, after they won 2 leagues in a row, you know, everybody was saying, you know, Man City are going to dominate this. They're going to be the next Manchester United or Liverpool of the past. And they shouldn't be hyping themselves up so much. I mean, they lost to teams like Southampton and Norwich this season. So, you know, there's definitely a problem there. They keep walking into games thinking they can win, and they keep getting stung. That's why they've lost so many games this season, and this is why what's happened has happened in the Champions League. Obviously, they've just gone out. They are some of the best players in the world. You know, they've got some very talented players. But if you're not going to go into a game respecting your opponents, then that's what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, but Lyon, we must give some credit to them. They are through. The celebrations were absolutely wild as the final whistle went. They're now one step away from the Champions League final. They've only played three games since April, which is absolutely mad still to think. But can they go that one step further? I know they're going to be playing Bayern Munich next in the semi-finals, which is still a tough match. But if they're knocked out Juventus, Man City, surely Bayern Munich should be a little bit scared here.
Yeah, I think Bayern are obviously going to the game quite wary of Lyon. I think they've done fantastic to get where they are. Obviously, it's going to be a tough game against Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich haven't even lost a game this whole tournament, have they? I think, which is amazing, and they've won 7-1 and 8-2 in that time. So I know the 7-1's over 2 legs, but I won't mention that anymore, Piers. but yeah, I think they'll definitely go into the game with confidence, and I don't want to write them off, but I still think it's going to be too much of an ask. I really do. I think Bayern Munich have got too much strength in their squad. You know, they've had a fantastic tournament, and they're probably favourites to win it. But yeah, I'm not going to write Lyon off just yet because that went wrong last time I did that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you can write Lyon off. I think sometimes if you're gonna nitpick, you know, Bayern's games, and they played an injured Chelsea squad and they played a Barcelona squad that is, I don't know what's happening with that team. But yeah, again, you know, they played amazing. Their attack is so dangerous. But then you've seen how Lyon did against Juventus and Man City. You know, they played very well. They've obviously got the fire in them, and they've got a chance. But you know, when Bayern Munich press you for 90 minutes, they're going to score regardless. So it just matters if Lyon can hit back and try and get the game. It's going to be a very hard task. I mean, if they win it, it will be an amazing accomplishment for them. But I would probably prefer Bayern in this.
Well, speaking of Bayern Munich, they played their quarter-final against Barcelona on Friday. That ended 8-2 to Bayern Munich. It was quite a strange result to watch. I think I knew it was going to be a high score, but I didn't expect it to be 8-2. I thought it would be a bit more even, Stevens. But they sent out a very powerful message that no team is safe in this Champions League. If you're Barcelona, if you're Lyon, nobody is safe. They're coming for you.
Yeah, they did. It was an absolutely massive result. I couldn't believe it as I was watching it. I wasn't actually watching the game, but I was looking on Twitter with all the tweets coming through, and it was absolutely mad. I couldn't believe what was happening. And it was so surprising because, you know, we all know Barcelona as this massive club who have been world class for so long. And yeah, I just don't know what's happening with them. Obviously, they're getting a new manager in now. I'm sure we'll mention that in a minute, but you know, there's a big problem at Barcelona, and you know, players want to leave now, and it's just not looking good. But yeah, fantastic result for Bayern Munich, and what a message that was to other teams in the tournament.
Yeah, they were brilliant. I mean, watching the start, it was like a game of table tennis. They were going out one end, hitting the post, then going out the other end. It was chance after chance. It was an amazing game. I mean, at first the defences looked shaky, but Bayern Munich pressed through, and some of the goals they were scoring against Barcelona was ridiculous. That Gnabry goal where they lobbed it over and put it through. As soon as I thought about what you said last week, George, about if Boateng's kept his legs close for Messi.
Yeah.
But what they done to Barcelona was ridiculous. They embarrassed them, to be honest. You know, all of Barcelona's big players just disappeared, and to put the final nail in the coffin for Barcelona, for Coutinho to come on and score 2 and assist wasn't too bad, but they're an absolute powerhouse, and I think they can definitely thank a player. Alphonso Davies, the run he made for one of those goals was amazing, and that's going to fit any team. I would imagine the final is going to be PSG Bayern, and that I'm sure that sent a strong message out to them.
Yeah, it did. Well, this game sort of signalled an end of an era really for Barcelona. They were absolutely humiliated. Their pants were pulled down so many times. They could have been 3. I think it was in the first 10 minutes. They could have been 3-1 up. That's how crazy the game was. They could have been 3-1 up. They could have been crazy, but unfortunately that didn't happen. The football gods weren't on their side. But this game showed that major restructuring is needed on and off this pitch. We're now seeing it now. I think the sporting director is gone at Barcelona. The manager's been sacked. Ronald Koeman has been appointed as the new manager. That's sort of a little bit of an unpopular opinion because people are saying he shouldn't really be there. But they were just absolutely humiliated. But this is now where they need to start restructuring because I know it sounds bad, but they're in a crisis, really. Barcelona are in a crisis, if you think about it, like what's going on and off the pitch, really.
Yeah, they are. And obviously it's not looking good for them at the moment. We've already seen Messi being linked with moves away. I think Man City are linked with him at the moment, aren't they? From what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
Messi coming to England, that'll be mad. But yeah, they need some real. They need to solve their problems real quickly. I think the appointment of Ronald Koeman is a bit odd. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if he's the right man for the job. I can imagine the same thing happening next season. He gets sacked quite quickly. But yeah, restructuring is definitely needed. I don't know what the answer is going to be. I think there was a lot of defensive mistakes in that game against Bayern Munich. The defence was really shaky. Obviously, some of the goals they conceded were really poor. So I think new additions are obviously needed for next season. But yeah, they're in some massive trouble, and I don't think the appointment of their new manager was the right choice either.
Piers, just sort of quickly ask, do they need to sort of now looking at building a squad that's not built around Messi? Because he wasn't really involved in the game. That's something I thought to mention. Messi, I think he only had 1 shot, and that was it. That's the only time I ever heard him in the game, and that's about 20 minutes in. But did Barcelona now need to look at, we need to build a life without Messi here? Because he didn't do much. So there needs to be something looked to there.
Definitely 100%. I mean, I always believe that Messi is the greatest player of all time. But when you're not getting service, it's not going to help. I mean, he is aging now. Him and Ronaldo are the 2 greatest of all time. It is coming to an end of an era. So I think sometimes you can't always rely on him. I'd be more than happy if Frank Lampard signed him up now. I think now's the perfect chance. Getting him, Pulisic on one side and him on the other side would be amazing. But yeah, Barcelona need to start building a team. They've just got players, and the team is some of that team is so old. It just feels like they're not doing anything with it. It reminds me a little bit like Real Madrid, but they've started to work on their team, and they've got people coming through. Barcelona, they look flat. They're not. I don't think they're feared anymore. Let's go back to 2011. Barcelona, one of the scariest teams in the world under Pep Guardiola. They've changed football forever, and when they had Neymar and they done the treble, they were a dangerous side. But since they've won the treble, it looks like they're only losing players, and the players that they've brought in haven't worked, like Adam Turan or I can't remember his name, is Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah.
Has just none of it's really kicked off. Suarez is, he's all right, but they need to. They do need to build a new team. But I don't know where to start for them, to be honest.
It is crazy to think that it's nearly 10 years ago since that 2011 winning the Champions League. That's so mad. Because I remember when they won that, and that was football changing right there. Because that was Pep's side. Since he's gone, Barcelona have been a bit yo-yo. They had Luis Enrique who sort of steadied the ship, but Barcelona looks like they're heading some more torrid times. Well, a side that isn't heading to torrid times is PSG. They are on the up. They're the first French side since Monaco in 03-04 to reach the Champions League final. They beat RB Leipzig for 3-0 yesterday. PSG in their first ever Champions League final they're on fire. But we have to say this is a credible tune by them because they've been pushing for so many years. They haven't been given up. Mbappe saying this is the Farmers League. The Farm League's on the rise. But PSG, this is a great achievement by them, really. I know they spent a lot of money, but still, this is a big achievement by a club that's regarded in the Farmers League, and they don't do well.
Yeah, it is a massive achievement for them. Obviously, they've been waiting for so long, as you said, to get to a final of the Champions League. But their squad is great. I think, they maybe had a bit of an easy run to the final, maybe, but they have had some fantastic. They've got some fantastic quality players in that squad. And they're looking really good. Obviously, it's going to be massive. If I'm expecting Bayern Munich to get to the final, which is going to be a massive game. But their squad's looking great. They've probably got once Messi and Ronaldo retire, they've probably got the best player in the world at their squad. So yeah, they're looking fantastic, and I can't wait for a final with PSG and Bayern Munich. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. If it happens, it might be PSG Lyon. You never know.
Touch wood, it will happen.
Yeah, I guess we're officially the Farmers League now, aren't we? The old Premier League.
Oh yeah,
we're the teams that play in the Premier League. The teams we love. Oh, go to Burnley or something like that.
God.
So we're the Farmers League now. But PSG, although in that Leipzig game, I think the win was more than anything handed to them. The mistakes in the game, and the Atalanta game, they were lucky in that one. But I mean, PSG got an amazing team. Their up front is ridiculous. I mean, Icardi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Like you said, once Messi and Ronaldo sort of leave the game, then they're going to be the best ones in the world, especially Neymar and Mbappe. And everyone was sort of doubting Neymar when he left Barcelona. Trying to get out of Messi's shadow, but he's the one in the Champions League final now, so he must be more than happy for that. And it would be a great achievement for PSG if they can win this. I think they still can. They've got a ridiculous firepower in that team, and overall a brilliant team, especially after all the doubts, after all the money they've spent.
As you said there, we specifically about Alves and Isaac, the first ever final in the 11 years of being a club. They did make some schoolboy errors, which were punished. You should be really making them in the Champions League semi-final, but they lacked energy. I know they're sponsored by an energy drink, but they really did lack some energy in that game. Did that sort of cost them, really, just not having that energy up front like PSG had? They lost Tino Werner, and that looks like now that has really sunk in for that side.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously losing Werner's massive because he's a fantastic player, but I think they could be proud of where they've got to. I think in the space of 11 years, isn't it? They've got to a Champions League semi-final, which is a fantastic achievement. I know people say it's a franchise, not a club, and stuff like that, but still, it's a fantastic achievement for them. And yeah, they just lacked that little bit more to get past PSG. Obviously, playing PSG is a massive task to beat them because of the team they have. But I still think they could be proud of where they got to. It's good to see underdogs get that far. It's obviously going to be tough for them to do it again next season, but it'll be interesting to see how far they go.
Yeah, agree with Dan. I think they've done well. Mistakes in the game, but I don't think anybody expected them to get this far. They remind me a little bit of Wolves in the Europa League. They've done well. They've got some good players, but obviously, unlike Wolves, I think Leipzig need to buy more players. They need to build on that team, and I'm sure their main focus is probably trying to win a Bundesliga before the Champions League. So I'm sure this is more of a future plan for them to secure trying to get to the final. So, there's still a lot of work to be done there, but they've still got plenty of time. Like you said, the club's only been around 11 years. So let's see in another 11 years when the young players come through and they've got more time to buy. Let's see how they do in the Champions League then.
And also, we've got Julian Nagelsmann, who's only 33 as a manager, and he's done quite well as well. So RB Leipzig looks like they've got a bright future ahead of them. Well, we better look to tonight's game, Bayern Munich versus Lyon. The last 22 sides met were in the semi-finals of the Champions League, and Bayern Munich won that time. But who are we going to see in the finals? It's going to be Bayern Munich, Lyon. I guess everyone's going to say Bayern Munich, but Do Lyon stand a little bit of a chance here against Bayern?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've always got a chance after what we've seen. But as I said before, I just think the Bayern Munich team is too strong for them, and I expect it to be Bayern Munich in the final. I think Lyon will go into the game on the back of that Man City win with so much confidence, and they'll probably go into that game wanting to win and thinking that they can win it. But I just think that Bayern Munich side is too good for them. The run that they've had is mad. So, yeah, I think it's going to be PSG Bayern Munich in the final.
Yeah, I just think they're too ruthless. I think Bayern Munich they just seriously want to hurt teams, don't they? They don't want to win. They want to embarrass you. They want everyone to take the mick out of you on Twitter and everything. So I think Lyon will still have a good fight. I still think they've got every chance. I don't think it's going to be, a lopsided scoreline, but I still think Bayern Munich are going to go through.
So yes, that is our prediction for the champion who will be playing in the Champions League final on Saturday. So better move on to, the Europa League, something that's been quite an exciting competition this season, seeing our English teams fight it out for the Europa League. But the hopes of silverware returning to England have ended with Manchester United being beaten by the Europa League specialist Seville. They knocked them out in the semi-finals 2-1. This is Solskjaer's third semi-final he's lost this season. This game showed a lot of faults for Manchester United where they need to be improved on. Something that people sort of forgotten about. They were shown in the first half of the season, their big faults. Second half, they were forgotten about. But they've risen again, these faults that Manchester United have got.
Yeah, they have. I said that Man United would get to the final. Of course, I was wrong once again. But yeah, I can see the delight on your faces when you start talking about Man United. I can just tell you, you bright up, you two. But yeah, the mistakes are back again, and in a massive game. Obviously, they wanted to get to the final and actually, win. They had a good end to the season. Obviously, they're going to be playing Champions League football next year, so they wanted to end the season well. But coming up against Sevilla, they're the Europa League specialists, as you say. They've don't know how many have they won now. I can't remember recently. But they're really good at that. So obviously, really tough game for Man United to go into, and Sevilla just come out on top.
Let's go have a quick look how many times I've won it.
I mean,
this is awkward.
I thought you said that.
I thought George was saying something.
I found it out. Seville won 5 titles. Sorry, there we go. We've got there in the end. Seville won 5 titles. We got here eventually. It's been a long time trying to get going again. Seville won 5 titles. They won 3 in a row, as we previously noted. And then they made that Champions League rule where if you win it, you go up. But yeah, Manchester United, Piers, wasn't a good end to the season, was it?
Penalty didn't save him this time, did it? Joking about beating Chelsea 3 times this season. They're the ones who's lost 3 semi-finals in one season.
So bitter, so bitter.
More bitter than me.
It's all last, but I've been playing out of it all season, so to see them fail is brilliant. Seville. Man United lost it themselves the other night. They didn't take it. They had a ridiculous amount of chances, and they didn't do anything with them, missing a lot or putting them straight at the goalkeeper. That was their main problem. They've got a brilliant attack and they just didn't use it. And then one mistake from the back for that second goal from Lindelof and they go through. So, Seville played well. They done well defensively. Manchester United, I feel like, lost the game for themselves. They had every chance to win it and they didn't take it. So, fair play to Seville, off to another final.
Can Manchester United classify this as a good season? It's not like a great season, but it's a good season. They finished third in the Premier League. They've done quite well in cup competitions, but they just lack that final instinct in those games. But overall, it's been a good season for them, if we have to think about what they did last season.
Yeah, I think they can come away thinking that was a good season. Obviously, they've been pretty good after lockdown to get into the top 4. I think they'll be happy that they're going to be playing in the Champions League next year. So yeah, I think their fans will be happy with that. Obviously, disappointing. They probably wanted to win this competition. I think they've I don't know. There's just these stupid mistakes, isn't it, that cost them. But overall, I think, with the league position, I think they'll be happy because obviously they didn't start the season off very well at all, did they? So I think I'm not going to say it's a success of a season, but I don't really think it was a failure either.
Yeah, it's been all right. So, just before Bruno Fernandes had signed, everyone wanted to get rid of Ollie. There was the game against Arsenal in the season. I think it was 1-1 or 0-0. Everyone said that was the worst game of football sort of ever. And people were talking about Ollie out and everything. And now, they put Bruno in and the team seems a lot better. And I'm sure Man United fans will be happy that they're not losing the stupid games in the Premier League. Towards the end, they done brilliant. Obviously, they drew to Southampton and West Ham. But apart from that, they done well and to finish third, to overtake Leicester and Chelsea towards the end. When there was quite a points difference, that they've done well. So, fair play to them. I think now what they need to do is utilise this, build on that defence, possibly a new goalkeeper. It matters on them. I know De Gea has had a lot of praise in the past, but I think his time's starting to come to an end at Manchester United. They definitely need to work on that defence and just shore up the attack a little bit. And I think over the next few years, they can definitely try and challenge.
You can see there, Piers saying that through gritted teeth. Like I would as well.
Yeah.
All the praise there. Well, Seville are in the final at Inter Milan. Sorry, not AC Milan. Inter Milan will be joining them in the final. This has been a long day. They beat Shakhtar Donetsk 5-0 with 2 goals from Martinez and 2 from Lukaku. Did you know Lukaku set now a new record in the Europa League, scoring in his last 10 Europa League games? That's his 33rd for the season as well. Dan Brozo scored one of the goals as well. But Inter looked rejuvenated under a Conte. And at the start of the season, the critics were saying that he ain't the right man for Inter. It's going to be like Chelsea again. It's going to be one season they're good, the next season they're poor as anything. But he looks like he's proven everybody wrong, really, at the moment.
Yeah, he has. I mean, Inter are looking really good. I think, they've, as you said, they've been rejuvenated. I think that front two are working really well together, Martinez and Lukaku. I think, obviously, Lukaku's a world-class striker, and partnering up with Martinez is a great partnership. They absolutely battered Shakhtar, which, maybe obviously they were favourites going into it, but it's a fantastic result. And yeah, they're looking really good, and I think they can go into the final favourites. I think, the critics said that he wouldn't do very well, Conte, but he's proved them wrong. He didn't have a very good end at Chelsea, but I think you liked him at Chelsea, didn't you, Piers?
Yeah.
So, he was liked at Chelsea, and he's a fantastic manager. So, yeah, I think he's done well to prove the critics wrong, and I think they can definitely go into the final thinking that they can win it.
Well, Piers, he's proved the critics wrong really with some players who were disregarded at that club. So, you look at Lukaku, an excellent number 9, struggled last season at Manchester United. Sanchez, he struggled at Manchester United. Ashley Young, not liked at Manchester United. Victor Moses as well, not liked at Chelsea towards the end of his career. Christian Eriksen, who was, I don't know, not liked by some top fans, but wanted out. But he has just built a very good side out of players that are not liked at clubs.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Antonio Conte. I don't think Chelsea should have sacked him really. He does get the best out of bad players, but I think he did go a little bit over the top at Chelsea in the end, buying Danny Drinkwater and sort of Zapata Costa. That was probably the point where we were like, maybe they should get rid of him. But above that, I think he's an amazing manager. I thought he was brilliant, and he's done brilliant there. I mean, Lukaku looks amazing. I mean, he looked amazing when he was at Everton, and then when he went to Manchester United, he just didn't fit the side. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with Lukaku personally. I just don't think Manchester United were the right team for him. I think if he'd gone to another team that season, he would have done well. But yeah, Eriksen, I know some people are a bit hum and ha about Eriksen. I think he's had his best days now. He's still obviously a brilliant player, and I think he'll still do well in Serie A. But I think Conte's done a brilliant job so far to get, at one point they were challenging for the title when they beat Juventus at home after, both Milan teams have had a very hard, I would say, 5-6 years now. Neither team has really done anything special. So for Inter Milan to get to this final will be huge for them, and I think it's props to Conte because he wants so much from his players every week in, week out, and they've definitely performed for him.
You've got to mention about Diego Costa as well. You know that big fiasco he was let go by. Was it by text message, wasn't it?
Yeah, apparently Diego Costa saying he's some sort of prisoner or something. So Lord knows.
Nobody will know. Not even Costa or Conte know. But so Seville and Inter Milan will be meeting on Friday in Cologne, playing in the Europa League final. What can we possibly expect from this game, and who will be winning Europa League at the end of the night? Will it be Seville or will it be Inter Milan?
Yeah, it's going to be another good game. I think both finals this year are going to be really good. Of course, if Bayern gets to the final, but I'm expecting a really good game. I think both teams will think that they can win it, and I think that's what makes it good. Obviously, Sevilla know how to win a final. They've done it so many times. But Inter Milan come to this game with a really strong squad, so it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be close, but I think I'm going to back Inter Milan to win it in this one.
Yeah, brilliant game. I still think Seville, they could have performed better against Manchester United, but got the win. I think Inter Milan have looked brilliant throughout this whole campaign. So I'm Forza Inter, and I think they're going to win this one.
Look at him, he's now a fanboy of Inter. Gosh, he's been turned again. Well, moving on to another team. Moving back to Ipswich Town. We haven't talked about Ipswich Town for a long, long time. And I have to say, what a week it's been for Ipswich Town, really, from Monday to Wednesday. They had 3 signings in one day. There was this thing, we want to see a signing. The club joked about it. We got 3, not 1, 2. We got 3 signings. And also, we had the first 2 games back of Ipswich Town since lockdown. Dan, did you know there's 164 days since they last played League Champions Coventry at home when Ipswich Town were 11th place on the final day of the season?
Wow, that seems so long ago. What an awful game that was as well.
It was such an awful game because I went as well. But starting off with the 3 new signings, so Ipswich Town on Monday confirmed that they have signed Ollie Hawkins from Portsmouth. He is a 6'5" striker. David Cromwell from Northampton Town, a goalkeeper, and Stephen Ward from Stoke as a left back. All signed on a free transfer, which is a little bit concerning. No money spent, but a free transfer after all 3 of those clubs let them go. But ask you first, Dan, have they made some good business here? By the people they signed, they look quite good, you know. Ollie Hawkins been played quite well at Portsmouth. Stephen Ward's had quite a good career with other clubs, and David Cromwell has had a good time with Northampton Town getting promoted to League One for next season. But there's some good business here if we had to look at it for the squad wise.
Yeah, I think it's some good business. I think you can probably look at them players and think they're pretty bang average, but I think that I wasn't really excited about Ward at the start, but he could be a good addition now. I think.
Won him over.
Looking at it from a tactical perspective, we're not going to sign Garbutt, so getting an experienced left back, I think, is a good idea. But yeah, so it's some good additions, I think, that can really help the team. Obviously, Cornell, he's done good at Northampton in goal. I think he can be good backup for Holy. Some of our fans are saying that we didn't really need to sign a goalkeeper. We could have used Wright or Perzabek as the second choice goalkeeper. But I think getting him in, that's a good addition. Hawkins as well. I think he's not really a goal scorer, but he's 6'5". I mean, he's a threat in the air, and I think that's what we need. I think Will Keane last season, we tried to use Will Keane in that sort of way last year. He couldn't even be bothered to jump any of the time. So I think getting a player who can actually win headers up front and support Jackson and Norwood, I think is a good sign as well. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the signings that we made.
What are your thoughts, Piers, on the signings? Because it looks like some good business here with Steve Ward. He's got the experience in other leagues, which could prove quite useful. Yeah. And they've got some players who have played in this sort of league already. So it looks like this town are onto a winning formula with transfer business at the moment. But we said that last season, but that didn't work out.
Ipswich always tend to make me laugh with their signing, just like Bargain Hunters, the daytime TV show. The way they manage to get so many players so cheap, I'll never know. They're brilliant at it. I've got to take my hat off to Ipswich Town when they sign players. And to be honest, the players they've got aren't too bad. Like you said, Dan, they're not like the most amazing players that are going to win you the league, but they're all right. Yeah, the goalkeeper I think will be just a nice addition for the sub. Obviously, Stephen Ward. He's a bit too old for my liking, but I'm sure he will do all right there. The only thing I think about Hawkins is only played 8 games in the league last year, so that might be a bit of a problem. But it looks like an exciting player. Played for a very good team in Portsmouth, so I think Ipswich can be happy with the signings. And I think if they get one or two more, it's only going to strengthen the squad.
What you just said about Stephen Ward, you're not happy with that. Is that more because he's 35? We said, but is he more signed for experience? He's played with Burnley and Wolves he's played in all those leagues. He's played in League One, League Two, Championship, and Premier League. So he's got experience everywhere around the pitch. Is that why they brought him in? So there's some experience there. Because if you look, you only think the experience is Chambers and Cole Skews now, really, in playing other leagues.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry, Dan.
No, that was question to you, wasn't it? Sorry.
I was just going to say. That I just think that Ipswich need to look more into building a squad now. If they're going to get stuck in League One, then try and build a squad. I just think buying players like this are going to be there for a year and then going to go to Accrington or somewhere like that next year or a free transfer. I just think it's a little bit of a waste of time. I think, he might come in at the end of the season, people will go, that was another player that played one season for Ipswich and didn't do very well. So I would rather them get a younger player, but I'm sure he'll do all right.
Yeah, I think the thing with Stephen Ward, I think we've got a tendency to buy players that have played in the Premier League before, played international level, and who are really old. I think that's why it didn't really excite me at first. Well, it hasn't really excited me now, but I think he's been added for that experience. And we only have Kenlock at left back anyway, so I think that addition probably is a smart move looking at it now. But it still doesn't really excite me because he's going to be here for a year. As Piers said, he'll just go to a team like Accrington next year and not really affect us in any way.
Well, another concern Piers raised there about Ollie Hawkins, he has only played 8 games this season. He's been searching for a lot of minutes. I think he's been struggling with a lot of injuries. And Ellis Harris, a former Ipswich Town player, has been in great form last season. Would he be able to kick on Ipswich Town? But there's another concern. Last goal was well over a year ago for Portsmouth. Is that sort of a bit of a problem there that he isn't like a proven goal scorer? I think we had that problem with Will Keane. He wasn't a proven goal scorer. He'd done well at Ipswich on a loan spell. He come permanently, been hit and miss, but is that just a signing because of the height, or is it just we've got another striker if we need him?
I think the thing is, I think we already have our goal scorer. I think Norwood is there to score goals, and I think if we're on form, that's what he can do. I know he's been linked with moves away and stuff like that, but if we have him next year and he's fit, I think he can really be crucial. And he's our goal scorer. I think Jackson can obviously score goals as well. We've seen that last season. We've seen the potential that them two can have. So I think the signing is just for that. I think it's that presence up front, which we never usually have. I think in a league like League One, I think sometimes you need to play like that. And we've seen it in the Championship as well. It's a slog of a season. And that's the kind of style of football you expect in them leagues. Obviously, except for if you're Brentford, but that's kind of football you expect. So I think he's a player that can really help have a presence up front. And if we can actually get a player who can cross a ball in, I think he'll be really dangerous. And that's why I don't want to play with 3 at the back this year because So I think he's a good addition. I
won't take any sagging off there for Brentford. Brentford are my team. They should have got promoted. Shouldn't happen. Well, Ipswich, they played last night. They played 2 games last night. 2 75-minute games against Colchester. It was like last season, but they played 2 this time. but they won both. First one was 4-0 in the first game with Aaron Jr. getting 2 goals. Edwards and El Masouni, he scored. He's back, and he scored an absolute wonder goal. I don't know where that came from. And in the second game, they scored. It finished 1-0 to Town thanks to Judge. He scored a good goal as well. But firstly, how great was it just to see Ipswich Town back in action after so long, so much uncertainty? When is Ipswich Town going to play again? When's football going to be back in League One? But how nice was it just to see Ipswich Town playing again? I know it's through a screen. It's not a Colchester, but still, it's nice to see.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we're back playing. You know, I've missed it so much. I know on this show, I moan about it every week. I moan about us every week. But when football's gone, I miss it so much. And I love going to Portman Road, even if we're bottom of the league doing awful. So I'm so glad that it's back. Obviously, we might not be able to go to the game at first, but I think now it's coming back. I'm getting excited for the season again. You know, I wasn't really excited for the season, but after watching yesterday, I know it's only friendly, but I'm getting more excited for the season now. And yeah, I love it that we're playing again. And you know, last night's games, they were a joy to watch, really.
What about you, Piers? Are you happy to see Ipswich Town back in action finally? I know your last game was Fleetwood, wasn't it? We don't remember that game.
Yeah, I missed. I remember that game. I missed watching the FA Cup qualifier.
Yeah. Don't remind me of that. Thank you.
That was an interesting game. Made me realise, this is why I don't go to this game anymore. But still, I'm always excited to see them play. I like to slag them off every week, but you know, Ipswich Town, I guess, is always still my home. As much as I try and pretend it's not. You know, them playing will always be great. Obviously, Colchester, Ipswich seem to win that every single season. So, you know, that's Colchester losing their derby. It's not really an Ipswich derby. It's more Colchester's derby. So
there you go, George. That's the answer. That's correct.
So that's an easy win for Ipswich, and it'll be interesting to see how they do this season. You know, I think I'd be hopeful as well as Ipswich fans that Ipswich can at least try and push for playoffs this season. I'd like to see them get a few more additions in the squad, but you know, over those games, it looks like they played quite well, so you can't complain with a win.
Yeah, they seem to play quite well. Dan, I guess you watched the game, so I guess you paid the money to watch both games. Was it a $5 for each game or $5 for two?
It was, yeah. It was $5 for both.
You've been sold again, mate. Which players stood out for you in both games? We saw a lot of returning faces, new faces as well, coming back to the side. But which players stood out for you in the two games?
I think the player that stood out most for me was Bishop. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You know, we know how good he can be. I remember playoff season, he was about 18 years old and he was showing what he could do. And I think he's going to be absolutely crucial for us this year if we start him and he stays fit. You know, some of the runs he can make, he's just so good. He really is. And I think if he's a player that if he has the service and he has the right players around him, he could be easily going up to the Championship next year on a $2 million deal. So yeah, I'm really impressed by him. Obviously Aaron Drinan as well. I think he was really good. I think I haven't really seen him very much. And I don't know if you saw the picture of Ollie Hawkins sitting in the stands with like a grimace on his face as he was watching Drinan scoring goals.
I didn't see that.
That was interesting. Yeah, but yeah, he looks really, really lively. I think some of the youngsters, El Masouni, I think he looked lively as well. You know, he scored that screamer. I think he was on loan at Cambridge for a little bit last year, but he got injured, as most of our players do. But yeah, I think I think we played really well in both games yesterday. And Judge as well. You know, it was a lovely goal, that goal in the 1-0 win. You know, it was like a double 1-2 between Judge and Jackson, and a lovely finish from Judge. So I hate to get my hopes up. This happens every single season. We beat Colchester, and I get my hopes up. We look really good, but it's a friendly against Colchester. I need to remind myself that it's only Colchester. We got Tottenham on Saturday, so yeah, that's going to be the real test.
Let's just better go, Piers. Like, it sounds like Ipswich Town sound wonderful. You know, it sounds like last season, wonderful again. But once the season sort of starts, it's going to go a little bit. I guess it's going to go a little bit downhill. Or can Ipswich Town keep this momentum going? We don't know who they're playing yet. First day of the season, we won't find out until Friday. They play first day. Yeah. So yeah, what can we?
Yeah. You never know, do you? I mean, every team like that, you win a friendly against the team, and you get your hopes up. It would be interesting to see how they do against Tottenham on the weekends. You know, if they get a win there, then they'll get them even higher up. But I think Ipswich have to go for promotion or at least playoffs. I just think personally that for myself, just always think that as a team you should always, you know, strive for the best, and I think they should be looking to go, because last season people were saying we've got to get automatic or it's a failure. So now it needs to be sort of playoffs, I think. But yeah, I think they've got every chance. You know, there is some good teams in that league. It's a harder league than people think. Obviously, it's not as hard as the Championship, but it is a hard league. But I think Ipswich are more than equipped to do well and definitely do better than 11th.
Well, we must remind you actually, Ipswich got to play West Ham on Tuesday at home. That's a fierce derby. If we're saying culture's not, why is the fans keep taking the mickey at West Ham fans on Twitter? That's a derby of some sorts there. But that's good.
It's just every team a derby now. Every single team we play is a derby.
You haven't got to play Norwich. You're not going to be playing Norwich anytime soon. So, God.
Well, no, we're playing them next season, George. God, come on.
How do you know that? Do you know something we don't know, Dan? Have you been in the future?
No. We're going up there, staying in the Championship. That's what's going to happen.
Definitely.
Bold predictions right there. If I go, Dan, you're going to the game on Tuesday, aren't you? Will you be going down the Portland Road? See what's going down?
No.
I thought you'd be one of those fans.
Can't go in. What's the point? I'll watch it on if they do a stream. If they do a stream, I'll watch it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Well, that is everything Ipswich Town. That's everything for today's show. We've finally got there in the end. You don't want to know how long it's taken to record this because my internet's absolutely gone. All wrong once again, like every single time. Well, I want to say thanks to Dan and Piers for joining me on the show today. Are you down for next week, guys? Where we're probably talking about Champions League final, Europa League final, or probably some more Ipswich Town because they're going to be playing again. We've got to talk about Ipswich Town. Best team in the world, come on, Dan. And they're going to get promoted to the Championship.
I never said that.
You thought of it. I know you thought of it. Yeah. Are we down for next week, guys?
Yeah.
That's all good. Right, I want to say thank you for listening to today's show. If you want to follow us on any of our social medias, Twitter is @PitchsideTalk, Instagram is @talk_pitch, YouTube is PitchsideTalk, and Mixcloud is PitchsideTalk, again, where you can listen to any of our previous shows, and this one as well. So, hello, future me. So, I want to say thanks for listening to the show. I've been George, and ciao.
Bye.
Cheers.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.